when the gospel is preached, so it's not just for you to listen or not. It's like a decision that that the message demand a decision. It's not something that demand your acceptance, but demand the decision of your own life. So everybody here, all individuals, have to respond to the judgment in the last day. That's what have you decided when you hear the message. It's not just I accept this, or this one preach better, that one not preach. That's good. It's like the core of the message, the essence of the message. It's like Jesus Christ. So he is in front of you in the word throne. And what do we decide? We decide follow him or reject him. Yeah. So the gospel is not just an information. Exactly. The gospel is to force you into the corner that you have to decide on what.
That is true. That's what the Bible says. We are putting before you life and death. I always say life is about choices. You're where you are because of the decision we made yesterday. We are here today because we made a decision to be here. So every day we are confronted with choices. The same thing when you preach the gospel, you're giving people a choice. Choose between life and death. Because whether you believe it or not, there's a day called the day of judgment. And the day of judgment, you will have to face it. Because God will judge the world by one man, Jesus Christ. I always say, even if you tell me you have nothing to do with Jesus here on earth, you still have something to do with him when you meet him. Because you'll be the judge. So in whichever way, you still meet Jesus. You still have something to do with him. You may ignore him here, but when you meet him on the judgment day, you will meet him.
Yeah, and no excuses.
There will be no excuses. At least you had the gospel. So whether you receive it or not, you are proclaiming judgment. Because the Bible says, he will judge the world by one man. And this gospel has to be preached to every creature. Every time you hear the gospel, you are being confronted with a choice. Choose Jesus or choose hell or choose heaven. So the choices you make determine your eternity. And like today, I was praying as I was giving the leaflet, I say, God, show somebody mercy. Because do you know it is mercy? If you receive Jesus and Christ reveals himself to you, it is actually the mercies of God that have been shown you. You have received mercy. Do you know even salvation is not our own doing? No. This is the mercy of God. And you're very lucky that God gives you a choice and a chance to say yes to him. For him to show you mercy. It's for your own benefit.
So there are some evangelists, they feel so compelled, but it's almost though they're trying to rush for time to grab it and say, believe now, or there's no more time, right? But it's sometimes we think God is merciful at any time, you know? But then we have to be urgent, but also understand that it's God's intervention, it's God's time. It's not like we have to control all the time, right? It's God's mercy, as you're saying. And no matter how we are, sometimes we're not very good at preaching.
That's true.
Right? We're not thinking about that. We're just saying we are there to serve. We're there to be the vessel. We're there to stand in God's as representatives, to be in that place where God will use us. So if we're there to be used by God, it's of mercy as well.
It's true.
So we don't need to worry about the persecution that comes to us, because that will happen in these days and coming at the last days, you know.
And it happened to the early disciples. No one held the gospel and carried it through without going through so much persecution. We are even lucky. They had to lose their own life.
So I don't know whether this is slightly off topic, but I changed my tactic
this afternoon a little bit. Instead of going to probably older people, which I kind of think people will want to talk to me because I'm older,
Yeah.
I was going to more younger people,
Yeah.
and they're more receptive.
Oh yes.
So
Oh, yes.
it's easier to talk
These
to.
last few days as well. There's a lot of young
Yeah.
people that we.
And what's
Yes.
more is that people are surprisingly open who
Yeah.
are young, teenagers, kind of
20s,
20s, exactly.
really
Yeah.
20s. I've not talked. I spoke to younger people,
Yeah.
at least.
Between 15 to 21, there's such an openness. It's like the heaven is open for them.
Is that?
I see it too, with a lot of young people. Because there's a lot of dissatisfaction with the young generation.
Yeah.
They're looking at their phones, trying to entertain themselves. They're trying to do something to fulfill their
Hunger.
the hunger for something. But they don't know what it is. They don't have much identity, so they're looking to role models like us.
Yeah.
They're saying, "Oh, he knows something." They're more stable, but why in our generation we're very unstable? So they're looking to people who know something.
You see, a lot of the conversations I have with people are that and it's probably true of myself, is that we're Christians,
Yeah,
but we struggle with disobedience in areas of our lives,
Yeah.
sin.
yeah,
And you kind of go, well, I know I'm a Christian, but I struggle with that particular area, and it might be pornography, something like that. Something and they struggle with that, and then they struggle to call themselves Christian,
yeah,
even though they perhaps
yeah,
believe it, but they have an area of their life that hasn't submitted. And I think what I try to do is I try to say, God knows that struggle, and he can. His word enables you to overcome that struggle. So, you can be set free of that challenge in your life, and then you can be more authentic. Because I think the devil comes to accuse you. And you go, well, you're not really a Christian because of that bit of your life, and you've failed many times. People do fail. But Jesus' blood covers that sin. If you confess your sin, He will forgive you, sanctify you of that sin, and He will help you to be overcome. So, there's the accusation that you're a sinner.
yeah,
And one of their lads today said, I struggle with sin. I struggle, struggle with it. And we're saying, well, Jesus, His word gives you a bath. You're clean when you believe in Jesus. But He washed His disciples' feet, knowing that they still were in the world and they needed to have their feet washed. That they still will sin, but you confess it and you forgive each other. And you go and Paul talked about the things I do, I don't want to do. The things I do, not want to do, I do. Jesus, when you meditate on Jesus, He transforms your thinking, and therefore you're free. So I'm free of some of the things that I struggle with. I still have struggles, but I've got to guard my mind, guard what I look at, think about, and keep it. My mind is the area you've got to keep yourself protected in, because it leads to the stuff, and that's where I think that people are, struggle in their walk with Jesus. They kind of go, well, I'm a Christian, but I can do this, and that means that I'm not really a Christian. I can't do that. But I think God knows He helps us in our weakness. I'm being honest there. But I think people are open in the younger generation because they're probably more open, perhaps, in talking about some of these areas of their life.
open to learning.
Yeah, and
And understanding
they're exploring.
Yeah.
But I also feel there's the stirring of the Holy Spirit.